Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I think that's my normal welcome to everyone because we have people from all over the world. So thank you for joining the 31st AMA for Kula. But really, it kind of feels like AMA 0. As the chief compliance officer has reminded us over and over and over, this has not been a race to the finish line. It's been a race to the starting line. And that's what's happening starting today. So thanks for joining us for this all anticipated AMA. We're excited. This has been a 4-year build for all of us. Many on the team have been a part of that process from very early on. And so each and every one of us are very excited to bring some key announcements to you today. Really, it's exciting not just for us, but also for the industry. Really, I mean, Kula is, as you all know, it's an RWA project, but we believe we are tokenizing real world assets differently. And it's going to change the way that crypto related investment vehicles are done. So we're really excited about that. And we're just grateful that you're along for the ride with us. With that being said, we'll show a short video here. Grant, if you can play that video that's just going to summarize Kula for anybody that's not familiar with the project.
We're not a purely Web3 project. We're kind of bridging the gap between traditional finance and the crypto industry, basically calling ourselves Web 2.5 at this point. We're building it in such a way with traditional assets, with real world assets, with intrinsic values. We're building this investment vehicle. So if the worst were to happen and blockchain and even the internet disappears tomorrow, we still have a traditional investment vehicle that people can invest into and still make money. But then on top of that, we add the bonus of this blockchain technology, which adds authenticity, security, transparency, all of those benefits, and then an extra layer of this technology called a DAO. And this DAO allows governance by the community and free profit sharing for those.
Excellent. As you all know, we're really excited about our project. We are an impact investment vehicle, and really what makes us different is that we're tokenizing governance. We're not tokenizing assets through fractionalized ownership, and it's really this secret sauce of Kula that we are adding governance as kind of the central focus of our whole project. And that's what's really important about Kula. Now, as you all know, this AMA is going to bring a big announcement to you all. And make no mistake, by the end of this AMA, you will all know exactly when Kula is launching, when you can be one of the first to own our token, and really, I guess, legitimately be a Kuladian. So thank you to everybody that's been a part of the community. But stick around, you'll get that announcement very, very soon here. Now, for those that have been a part of the community for a little while, you might see some changes, just slight changes around here. While the green background is great for St. Paddy's Day, that's not exactly why we have a green background. Sam, I'm going to hand it off to you to maybe tell everybody about the little tweaks we have going on.
Yeah, appreciate that, Micah. Yes, some of you might have noticed our new virtual background, and even in the first video, you've seen our new brand asset being shown there. So yes, you've guessed it right. Kula has gone through a rebranding process. Core to our rebranding process is really the Kula values. It's a set of values that we base everything we do upon. They drive our decision-making process, and they underpin the way we build. The values that we adhere to are: we learn, we honor, we restore, and we give. So not only do we put Kula values into our actions, we need a way for the world to understand our values. So through our brand narrative and the color, we're hoping to demonstrate our set of values to the wider audience. Grant, do you mind playing that new rebrand video? Yeah, thank you. I think the team has done a fantastic job doing the rebrand. I remember all of us stuck in the room for days, digging deep, of our value sets, who we are, what we do. Um, and isn't it kind of funny? Our font is Satoshi. What a nod to Bitcoin there. So it's
It
really
is.
cool.
Big shout out to our graphics team.
That's right.
They are one in a million. Well done, team.
Yeah. And we have now a full set of brand narrative, which is the text and the image and the color to go with everything from now on. So super excited about that. Let me pass it to Chris.
Thanks, Sam. Yeah, so a couple of things. This is an AMA, Ask Me Anything. So we will be sharing for about another 10 or so, 15 minutes, just updating on the announcements that we've got to make. And then it's over to you guys. So any questions that you want to ask, we will do our best to answer. Traditionally, people start putting those questions in now so that when we get to the end, there's not an awkward silence while we wait for someone from our team to kind of prime the pump by asking a couple of questions. So please feel free to put those questions in the Q&A now. We'll get to them at the end. And as of about 10 minutes ago, the new website landed. So if you guys want to go check that out later, you can do as well. Yeah, so we just wanted to kind of just backtrack a little bit and remember this is a 4-year journey. So we've been going for nearly 4 years since we first kind of sat down and had the earliest conversations asking the question, how and in what way, or is it even possible to use blockchain technology to work with communities that live on or around assets that otherwise get displaced or usually get the raw end of the deal when things get developed. And from that early inception, we have been on a journey. There have been highs and there have been, actually, I would say many, many lows. There's been moments when we've looked at each other either across a boardroom or in a taxi and thought, I'm not sure we're going to make this. And we could share at length those. But there's also been moments where I remember one time last October, we needed $1.2 million to keep the lights on. And on the Tuesday, we sat down and we realized that was a need. And on Thursday, we actually had a couple of investors come through. And I remember Micah hollering and whooping and being all excited that evening once the money, he got a phone call and the money had come through. We've got many of those stories, and many of you have been on that journey with us, and it's been absolutely a thrill to get to this point. And I think I was saying to these guys this morning, I woke up this morning smiling because it really is, it's both a relief and so exciting to be able to kind of say we're launching this thing. We've actually got there, and we're actually at the point of stepping out into what's ahead. So, we're not just also that process, right? We had an idea, we touted, we talked to industry leaders, we put it out to various different people in the industry saying, what do you think? Got some good positive feedback, but the journey of 3 years has been actually invaluable because we have a stronger product, a much stronger market position, assets on the books. I think we were hoping we would come up with the concept, build the tech, and then go to a bunch of investors and launch the token and then start to invest. And we realized, unless we have strong proof of concept, we've really got nothing to sell. So we made some investments, and several of you guys are on the call from our partner regional DAOs right now around the planet, whether it's in Nepal, Zambia, or potential projects there in Malaysia. We've been able to prove out the concept, right, and build something that's really compelling and actually works. And we've got like great stories and great impact stories already of what the product and what the purpose has been to really see economic redistribution and equitable distribution of wealth amongst people that otherwise wouldn't get an access or the governance right to say what actually happens with that wealth. So we're really excited about that. But also we've been through the process. I think we were reflecting the other day. We've spoken to most of the main blockchains, know some of them on first name basis now. We are known in the market, and we also know the players in the market. And we've actually got to a point now where we've got a very strong offering, and we're really excited to get to this point of announcing today. This last year as well, we've been through quite a lot of quite a long journey and making sure that we've got a financially compliant product as well. And that's been both pretty difficult to kind of attain to those what would be recognized as global standards in compliance. But we've actually got there, and we've also been able to speak and represent Kula at most of the blockchain and cryptographic made events, crypto technology events throughout the planet, whether that's in Singapore, Hong Kong, or Dubai. And then last year we were also really just towards the end of last year we were really excited to be recognised as the emerging Web3 rising star by Bybit and their subsidiary Blockchain for Good Alliance. And to get the award at that point was also just really fantastic kind of close to 2024 as we stepped into this year and look ahead now to actually getting this product out to market. So I'm going to pass over to Micah for this next section.
Yeah, I get the fun joy, right? I mean, I don't know why I drew the long straw here, but it's time. I mean, everybody's here for a reason. So without further ado, Grant, please.
Kula has been built over almost a 4-year period now.
Kula token launch is bound to happen.
We can't wait because we're in a place where it's coming.
We finally made it, and I am extremely excited.
Yes, April 15th. For the U.S. citizens, we're going to change the connotation of the day of April 15th from the bad tax day to the day Kula launched. We rest assured that is April 15th of 2025. We do want to be clear on that. There was no year given on that video, but it is just a little less than 30 days away. So we are primed, we are ready, and we are excited. Sam, can you, not too much information, but maybe could drop some teasers a little bit about maybe where they can purchase these tokens?
Yeah, sure. So we have been working extremely hard, looking across the board at multiple tier 1, tier 2 centralized exchanges. Happy to announce that we have signed a contract with multiple centralized exchanges, exposing us to millions of retail investors from those centralized exchanges. And we're currently in conversation with a few more tier 1, tier 2 exchanges. We're aiming to probably list on, I would say, around 4, if we can, centralized exchanges to begin with. This is another thing that's special about Kula is we're launching directly onto centralized exchanges. So if you look across multiple blockchain projects, they are always start off with either direct, launch on chain, which means people buy their token from their website, or doing it from decentralized exchanges and hoping to build up volume, and then they can launch onto centralized exchanges on tier 2. But we are going straight onto centralized exchanges, really validate our value, our system, and our worth. So super excited about the launch date and the ability for everyone to go through the KYC process from centralized exchanges and purchase our token. Chris.
Yeah, so with that date now announced, we are on a 28-day clock, I think it is, between now and that token being available on the market at the price that we will list at. And so over the next month now, we are going to be building the hype. We're going to be essentially adding lots more to our social media sites, lots of updates, driving interest across all of the platforms that we're on. So you'll be seeing a lot more for those of you that follow us on X or any of the social media platforms that we're on. You'll be seeing a lot more activity, and we've got key opinion leaders that will be from the crypto and blockchain world that will be talking about our project to their communities. We'll be co-marketing with the exchanges that we do list with in different ways. and utilizing those pathways to promote the project. I think there's one entity that will be engaging on a day. They'll be dropping to some 30 million people SMSs and things like that. There'll be other groups that we're working with that also have, you know, mailing lists of well over 15, 16, up to 20 million people, and we'll be connecting that way across the planet and talking about the project in different ways. And also on the various different the equivalents of like the Financial Times in the UK, or I guess Wall Street Journal in the States. In the blockchain space, there's also websites that are really well known and will be also available and being talked about in those spaces as well. That's what's come up in the next 30 days. And so, you know, again, I want to we also want to say thank you for being here. But again, as we are a community and you are our community, we will be as strong as we are together. And for those of you that are vested into this project and working together by communicating as much as we can with all those that we know, and just even just sharing some things that you see on social media is going to make a huge difference to the actual reach of the project over this next 28 days. Because of course we want to see a really strong launch, because we want to see a really strong product going out in the ways and the things that we've actually been seeking to achieve for this last 4 years actually can only really happen if we have a strong launch. At this point, I just also want to say, like, you know, we also have to be really careful with how we do promote the project, and we are under regulatory compliance parameters, and so we have to also say that, you know, any investment that anybody makes is always a risk, and if you do make investment into any product, you could lose it all. That's part of just investment and wise advice. So we always encourage you guys to do your own research. Make sure you know what you're investing into if you do choose to invest with Kula. And also, we also want to be aware as we go to market, the hype arises. It's a dog eat dog world out there, and just want to really encourage you guys to be really careful. We will not ever directly message you guys for information or promotions. It'll only come through our official channels. So whatever you're doing, please make sure that you're verifying anything that you hear from Kula coming from an official channel that we have, and which you can find from our website. So that's kind of just a little bit overview of just the market wisdom and what you can expect over the next month here as we head towards our launch date. So with that, I'm going to pass back to you, Micah, to close out this session, and then we can go
Sure.
to.
Sounds good. Yes. Well, over and over, you've heard now that we've been building this project for just about 4 years. And along that way, we've met with other RWA projects. We've spoken with other RWA projects. And one consistent thing that we've realized is we are leaps and bounds ahead of every other project we've been connected with. And really that boils down to the fact that we started building an RWA project because before RWA was cool. Back when the crypto industry was worried about Bored Apes or Solana llamas, or buying property next to Snoop Dogg in the metaverse, we were boots on the ground in Zambia, signing contracts with Limestone. We were doing workshops for governments and meeting with ministers and sitting down with presidents and prime ministers of nations to really build out this project. During the bear market of the crypto, when Bitcoin was down at 15,000, we were selling our own Bitcoin to continue funding this project. And that's just the stake and the passion that we have for in and for this project. So we're excited about Kula, and we believe that we are really leading the way as far as real world asset projects go. So keep following us on social media. When you see our communities growing really exponentially every day. So please continue with us. The community's asking us all the time, what can they do to help? Well, that's just be active on social media, spread the word. We have some major announcements even after this one. In between now and launch, we have some really key announcements. One I can tease already. Kula has made an absolutely incredible hire, and I cannot wait to tell our community who we've brought on full time and what he or she will be doing for us. It blows my mind who has decided to work with us. I mean, our team is already made up of phenomenal individuals that have really given up in careers elsewhere to come work for Kula. And we're just so grateful for them on our team. And we're grateful for this new hire who I can't wait to tell you all about. So continue following us on social media. Look out for new and big announcements between now and launch. And then, of course, hang out with us on April 15th as we see this token go live. With that being said, let's go ahead and open it up to a long list of questions. My goodness. Let's see here.
I have no idea where to start. This is
yeah. Well, I guess we just start from the top, right?
Okay.
When you say Kula is launching, what exactly does that mean and how can I get involved?
Well, I guess that means people will have the ability to purchase our token via centralized exchanges. And there's no minimum, well, which is the next question. There's no minimum investment, really. It depends. We're trying to launch at 7 cents US per token. I don't think there could be fractionalized beyond that, right, guys?
Right.
At least not from
that's
the
right.
exchanges side. So yeah, that's what it means. Previously it was like, you can certainly become our investor. That will be through SAFT agreement, simple agreement, future token. And launching means you can now buy it from exchanges.
Exactly. Perfect. You answered like 3 of the questions that were up there. So somebody asked what price it will launch at. Unfortunately, we have somebody asking what crypto exchange it will be. These are going to be the announcements leading up to launch that we've got.
Well, it's more than a tease, right, Mike? I think part of it is because we're still in negotiation with a few more. So you want to finalize everything. And consideration just for the community, the consideration is more than like, why don't you just launch on everything or whatever? We need to cover different geographic areas. Some exchanges are really popular in a certain area of the world. And also we need to optimize because exchanges listing tokens on exchanges is not free. We need to provide liquidity. We need to, give them the fees and everything. So it's something we need to consider. And we have a strategy behind the listing. It's taking it, I wouldn't say taking it slow at first, but strategically, listing on multiple exchanges to cover the planet and then leading up to something even greater.
Very good.
Yeah. Are the videos available to share with those we know? Contact us and we'll be more than happy to. I think it depends on the who it is that we're sharing with. I think we have a data room, right, for potential investors and such. We'll definitely put them in there if needed.
Yeah, if they're the videos that you've seen here on the AMA, if those are the videos you're talking about, chances are our marketing team are going to be putting those out on social media anyway. So they'll be public knowledge and public accessible by the public that way. But if there's other additional videos that you have seen in the past, you can always reach out at hello@kuladao.io is the email and request anything from there.
There's about 10 questions on this list that revolve around our token price at launch, the valuation process, and kind of the just the point of which on April 15th, how and why we get there, how much are we selling on that day. I wonder if one of you guys could have it.
Yeah, if I can take that, Chris, just real quick. But guys, feel free to jump in after I mention the price and everything, in case I forget something. So yes, the launch price will be at 7 cents US dollar per token. I think our tokenomics is out there in the public now. It's also on our white paper for a long time, but now in finally a nice graphic form. Thanks, Chris, for that good work there. We are listing around 5% of our total token supply. So if you multiply the price per token, we're looking at right around 38-40 mil US. That money will be used for regional DAO development, the DAOs that are ready to go to be capitalized have in the pipeline already. And a portion of that will be reserved for future regional DAOs. As you can imagine, lots of these applications are waiting in line for us to kind of look into, go through the DD process, due diligence process. So we need to have a pool of money reserved for that. Now, unlike other blockchain crypto projects, people say, oh, you are raising this much money, but there really isn't like a physical thing behind it. It's really all about pumping up the community and get everybody excited about some kind of meme or some sort of kind of a toy-ish thing. Kula, though, has tokenized asset on our books. So the day of the launch, we will have tokenized natural resource assets on our books supporting the token price. Right now, we're still going through the final stage of valuation process. Because we're a Web 2.5 company, like Micah mentioned in one of those videos, we are building a bridge between the actual accounting system and the Web3 value representation. So it's not like just we are telling the world, oh, look, we have 40 million US dollar worth of asset, NFT, right? But we have to support it with the accounting processes, which will be audited by financial professionals. So we will have the final numbers for everybody very soon after we go through the very strict auditing process and valuation building process. But we will reflect that on chain. But rest assured that on the launch date, we will have the value to support the token value. Did I miss anything, gents?
No, that's exactly right. Yeah, it's not a willy-nilly price that we just grabbed out of thin air. There is merit to this price. There is reason behind it. And honestly, we feel like there's a lot of value still left at the price of 7 cents. And then every asset we continue to bring on board. We'll just increase that price point, as well as market speculation will increase the price. So those are all the variables that go into how we came up with this and what we expect moving forward. Ooh, this is a really interesting one. If I plan to hold my Kula tokens for many, many years, are there any crypto industry partners that might offer a line of credit using my Kula tokens as the pledged asset? This is really interesting. I have watched even the industry that I'm in. I mean, we're all in the crypto industry. And so, but yeah, I've watched over in Europe, well, mainly in Switzerland, where loans are given out by the Swiss bank against Bitcoin. And this idea that if you hold Bitcoin, you essentially never ever have to sell it. You just keep leveraging it for cash and never pay capital gains on your Bitcoin because you just keep taking debt on it and paying off that loan and then take another loan and capitalizing it that way or cash flowing it that way. And the idea, even if you have loans against Bitcoin, which is, yes, it's the value of Bitcoin comes in its scarcity. But ultimately it's the market that decides what a Bitcoin is worth. If banks are willing to give loans against your Bitcoin, then that thought process should overlap into Kula as well. Just because we've got real world value, we've got intrinsic value behind our token that is backed by our treasury, and that model should work in theory with the Kula token as well. So all hypothetical, of course, just pure speculation. But if that model works for Bitcoin, by all means, it would work for Kula.
There's a question here that I think we can all answer, because we've all got our own different perspective on this. But let me ask you guys first: which of the projects that we've funded or will fund are you most excited about?
I love the regenerative timber project in Sarawak. Just seeing the community on the ground is it really left a huge impact on my mind, right? And helping the indigenous people getting their land back, that's something else. But I wasn't in Nepal, so Micah, you can speak to that.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing. I mean, when we were building this project, we thought, boy, if we could just go to launch with one asset, that would be incredible, right? It would be way ahead of any other RWA project. But we got to the point, gents, where we had to divide and conquer. We had to fly to different parts of the world and kind of build up our own relationships almost separately because the other founders were doing other amazing things in different parts of the world. And so, yeah, the answer to this question is going to be wherever each of us specifically were sent. I spent a ton of time last year in Nepal, future trips back there this year, meeting with prime minister, government officials, ministers of finance, etc., and kind of educating them and helping them to literally change laws about blockchain and crypto inside of their country. So I've seen their excitement for Kula, and so therefore I see a lot of all the opportunities that country offers for us. So yeah, really the only project that we've all been on the ground together for was Zambia. But we're also invested in so many different projects that, yeah, our answers are going to vary.
I think for me, as much as the geographically regional projects that we've already got lined up and will increasingly capitalized after we've launched the token, one component of our business model also includes providing services to other projects that would like to leverage the experience and the basically consulting services and service provision options that we can provide as Kula as well. And there's 3 or 4 projects that I think are just on one level kind of intellectually interesting, but also seeking to solve real world problems with a real use case using blockchain. So one of our potential partner and service opportunities will be helping a project put intellectual understanding and training onto the blockchain about basically sustaining the bee population. And it sounds so weird. What has that got to do with anything? But actually, we have no bees, we have no life, and there's actually really good reason as to why that would be a perfect use case for using blockchain in terms of just making sure that knowledge is retained, passed on, even the genetics of bees is recorded in the right way. And we haven't fully mapped out what that project will look like, but we've got maybe 10 or 15 of those in various different industries and sectors. And as we've been kind of forging a space in a new industry, in a sense, where blockchain is actually being used for real use cases and actually solving real problems, we've paid a price. And because of that, we've actually in a position where we can then provide the various different services that these projects will increasingly need in years to come. And as sure as the day is nigh, blockchain is here for good, and it's going to make its thumbprint on every single industry that we touch. And we feel like we're also in a really great place for that level of service provision in a consultative capacity too. So I think for me, like, I'm as excited about those as some of the places and locations where we've got projects lined up for capitalization.
Okay, let's see here. This one says, seeking clarity. When we first talked about this token, I thought it wasn't going to be publicly traded. Perhaps you can explain the difference between Kula token and other publicly traded tokens like Bitcoin, Litecoin, etc. This is interesting because there is, when you do hear about Kula, there are liquid tokens and there's illiquid tokens, right? So there are tokens in our ecosystem that cannot be publicly traded. And that goes into our double DAO structure. Tokens that are distributed around each individual asset are illiquid. They cannot be sold on the markets. Our governance token is the one that we open up to retail investors all over the world. And that's essentially how we raise our money to continue capitalizing these projects. And so those governance tokens will be released, much like Bitcoin, much like Litecoin, are on centralized exchanges. And so our governance token will be easily accessible on centralized exchanges, just like Bitcoin or Litecoin. The regional DAO tokens are illiquid and not being sold. And there's a few reasons for that. One is just protection over the equity, because they're essentially just they represent the equity splits at each regional DAO. And so when the community wants to realize profit, they actually sell their tokens back to Kula, and Kula purchases those tokens from them. But yeah, otherwise our governance token is a publicly traded token.
Maybe combine one other question there. So yes, if you purchase the Kula token over centralized exchanges, the token will be tradable immediately, and there will be no cliff on those tokens. So by the way, for the folks that don't know what cliff is, it's basically a vesting schedule. So like there are tokens that are distributed to early investors or internal teams, founders included, that are frozen, that are locked for a period of time. And then after that period of time, then those tokens could be bought or sold. So that period of time is called, the cliff, right? For our tokenomics, other than the founders, the tokens for the internal team, the tokens will be locked for 6 months. And for the founders, our tokens are locked for 12 months, demonstrating the commitment that we have to the industry, to the ecosystem, and our belief in Kula. So it's not something that we just want to sell and make a bunch of money and run away from. It's really a long-term project.
Yeah, and even on top of that, I think it's important to note the type of investors that we've aligned ourselves with are private investors that were able to meet minimum investment. We have purposefully rejected offers from venture capitalist companies and institutional money, just because those are typically organizations that look for the exit as soon as they possibly can. We are aligning ourselves with what we've named early on as angel investors, people that are aligned with the values of our project, excited about our project, and for the most part, we expect to hold long as the project grows. And then even as those cliffs hit, not all of the tokens that were locked up are available. We have an extensive drip system, essentially, for our team, where it's not after 6 months they get to unload everything. It's actually extended over 5 years. And so they get portions of their tokens dropped to them via smart contract for the longer they work with us. And so things like that we've done to protect our token value, as well as benefit those who have been a part of the project since day one.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that, Micah. It's not like upon the cliff date, all of a sudden everything is 100%
exactly
done. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that same thing goes with the founders, right? Like after 12 months, you can only sell a small portion, and the rest of it still has a schedule.
Yes. Any meetings with the Trump administration? Boy, I keep tagging them in all my X posts, but I'm just convinced. I've never ever in my life would have imagined that I'd sit down with presidents and prime ministers and these governments, the wonderful government officials that we've met along the way. And so I have no doubt there's going to come a day where we're sitting down with Elon Musk. Now, this is just me dreaming. There's nothing in the plans, nothing in the works, but I'm going to continue connecting with them or trying to via X. But we do believe that Kula is going to be an impactful project, and people are going to notice.
I'm gonna just someone's written a friendly question here, which I'm just gonna leverage. How can we as the community push this project out to the world? And just want to appeal again to all of us on this call. You are our biggest advocates and cheerleaders. Anytime that you share, talk about the project, link people to it, get on the website, send people to the website, particularly over this next month and to 45 days, is only going to help the project be known about across the world. We really need you guys, right? That's part of the process. We are a community project that's based in engagement and the incentivization of everyone kind of really jumping into the overall vision and mission, which is to see wealth really distributed more equitably across the planet. And that's kind of our heart and what we're about in terms of where we want to see our impact investment go. So there are specific ways that you can do that, whether that's joining our socials on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, liking comments, sharing those posts, reposting with your own thoughts, engaging people that you know immediately will be interested in the same types of issues and questions. Anything that you can do in that direction only benefits the overall project. So please do help us and jump in that way.
Are we announcing any new assets on the books in the weeks running up to launch or soon after? Boy, we I guess no. The ones that we have on our website are the ones that everybody will know about before launch. But shortly after, there's going to be capitalization and continued conversations, because we've had people now on our website, even before launch, come apply to be a regional DAO. And so those conversations will begin to take place. And we have I think all three founders have people that have said, hey, I need a call with you. I've got a project. We need to set up a Zoom call. And we're saying, nope, after launch. We can't meet with you until after launch because we're so laser focused on this launch. So I guess to answer that, they will be soon after. We'll have the capital to invest. We'll have the capacity to have the conversations and finish negotiations in many respects.
If I can jump the line real quick, there's a question about what criteria then will drive the decision to issue more tokens after the launch, and how do you protect against the dilution potential? So this is a very reasonable question. And in the equity world, like a private equity world, it's usually like say from pre-seed or pre-seed C, series A, B, C, D, and the IPO. These are the processes, the steps. Every step along the way, the capitalization table will be diluted because of every round you can move up, you will have to issue more stocks, right? Shares to fund that round of the capitalization. Therefore, every round you go, the ownership is diluted from the earlier round of investors. For Kula, we have a fixed total supply of 10 billion Kula tokens. So we're not diluting in the sense of issuing more and more Kula token to fund the project. On the contrary, Because we bring on more tokenized asset and more profit distribution from our regional projects, Kula token value will increase along the timeline. So we'll actually have to only have to sell fewer Kula tokens to raise the same amount of money, right? Because each token now is worth more. Now, also we open up our Kula top level as a DAO, which means by purchasing our Kula token, you can then participate in the decision-making process. So how can we vet DD, all the regional projects and applications is because we get to have these guilds, which are basically equivalent to the different departments in corporations to do the work, like due diligence or projections and looking through, all these applications for us. Once a consensus is reached, which is by voting, and then we get to allocate capital, deploy the capital to those potential projects. So in that sense, we are protecting the earlier token holders from the further dilution from every round of investment by having a fixed total supply. And we get to leverage the DAO's strong governance and voting mechanism for decision-making process.
Thanks, Sam. And there's a question here on how are the benefits distributed to the communities that we partner with? So how is the Kula concept rolled out basically on the ground, and is there a percentage? So we've been talking about this double DAO structure that we have, and you can read about that in our white paper, which is accessible from the website now. And so whether the governance token that everyone on this call can go out and purchase on April 15th allows those utilities that Sam was just talking about, we replicate that at the ground level and in the various different places we have projects. So whether that's in the places we have, whether that's in Europe or North America, wherever we have regional DAO projects, we basically won't enter into an investment agreement with the local development entity, whatever that would be, unless they are clear a proportion of the equity will be given to the local community, whatever that structure looks like, and whether they are fully versed internet native, crypto native individuals, whether they're in some country on planet Earth that's maybe not got a cell phone system, we'll still find a way to engage that local community and ensure that they've got some equity of the project that we are working together to develop. And that's different, right? It's different in different contexts, and we work on the ground with the people and the various different stakeholders to figure out what that would look like and what the shape of that investment structure would look like. But it's important that there is a component of that is the local people that are affected by the project control their equity, and using our technology then can utilize the tech to participate in the direction of where that goes. And that looks really different in different places. So in our first regional DAO, we're actually working through the local, it's called the Nduna system, which is the local tribal leadership system, rather than trying to replicate a Western democratic one wallet, one vote system, because that just doesn't work in that context. Whereas if we have a project in North America or Europe, that's going to work perfectly fine, because that's how culturally that structure's culturally understood and works. And so there's a lot of flexibility in the model that we have that allows for as much participation in the overall process of the benefits that come from a particular project. So again, everyone gets an equitable share of what that is, both in real world value in their pockets, but also real world participation in terms of their governance.
Yeah, that's great. And that actually goes along with one of these other questions that came up as well. I'm curious about the workforce involved, and they're asking about the workforce when it comes to each regional DAO. And if we haven't been clear, regional DAO is just our term for each individual asset. So each individual asset is a regional DAO. And this question asks about the workforce around that regional DAO. So Chris was talking about how we are working with the locals as far as the community goes, but we're also prioritizing partnering with local regional DAO partners. So if it's a mine, we want to use a local mining company. If it's hydropower, we want to build the infrastructure and manage the infrastructure with local partners on the ground. These assets belong to the country in which they sit. And we want to protect those assets. We want to protect that ownership, and we want to engage the locals in every aspect of our investment. Let's see, we've got time for what? 2 more, gents, here? Chris, you're muted if you're.
I'm trying to find there's some really good
Oh,
unique,
I'm sorry.
some good
There are
unique-
really good questions. It's just question after question after question.
Well, there's some questions. Let me just summarize them now. I can just take one at a time. About the business risks moving forward, what could potentially damage the Kula token value or limit the growth rate, and what are we doing to address those risks? So Kula is a decentralized impact investment firm. So if you look at those 3 words, the risk really come about perhaps addressing each and one of those words, right? So let's start with the investment part. If those investments don't perform, community look at all the stuff we invested in and they all lost money or there's no future on these things, then there'll be less interest in purchasing Kula token. So that could be a risk. We need strong due diligence process, boots on the ground process, getting to know the community around these natural resource projects, knowing the government officials and having clarity on the entire investment processes and its potential for us to make that investment decision. This is where a decentralized decision-making process come into play. And we really believe in the people that are helping us on these things. We cannot do everything ourselves. I mean, we don't have the specialized local knowledge or the time and the energy to really take care of all of these things around the globe. So relying and trusting the team and the Kula token holders to participate and to be the arms and legs of these processes is really the key to success over here. The second thing is impact. We really believe in the quantifiable impact we're making around the globe. Getting, for example, equal pay between men and women, opening up new opportunities for young adults, opening up new industries even in many regions of the globe. If we ever lose that, we just become another, venture capital company or private equity firm. It will be meaningless for a Kula to exist, right? So that part is going to be a risk in that people get greedy, right? If there's a thing over here promising 100x return, and then there's a thing over there about 10% a year, but you make more impact, we have to be disciplined enough to choose the impact side of things. So we're not all in it for the money. This is where, again, decentralization helps because we get to have the check and balances. If you look at our governance, we have the core system as well, right? Even if all the founders become all greedy in one day, the court can reject the decisions the founders are making. So that's a beauty of it. And of course, the decentralization part brings a risk in that people might say, you might become a little bit more centralized because if it's decentralized entirely, then the processes will take forever and you don't have the capacity to manage everybody decentralized across the globe. So for Kula, we considered centralization versus decentralization more of a scale rather than a binary like a switch. So we are moving that dial constantly and adjusting to where it needs to be. So that's how we are addressing these risks going on to the future. I'm sure there'll be more as we grow, but at least that's the plan.
Yeah. I want to pick up one question here that I think is a great question. Do you think that the delay in our launch date has positively impacted the core of the project, say compared to a year ago? Do you really see the space maturing moving forward 5 years from now. And the reason I just like the question is because it's really true. I think there's been so much internal pressure on us as a team to bring this to the market. And I think last year there were some kind of dark moments for us as a team where we wondered whether we ever actually would get there. There's days it's like, oh, I'm not sure we're going to make it. But the truth is that those delays have been invaluable, I think, for us as a team, because we're, well, internally far stronger for sure in terms of our own resilience and our own personal growth. But the reality is we've got better product. And so specifically, I think one of the areas that within the team I've kind of had a focus on is our compliance work and making sure that the technology is compliant to international standards with regard to anti-money laundering, making sure that you know what's going from one wallet to another wallet in terms of value and who's on the other end of that transaction. These are really important processes from a global compliance standard that actually sit behind all of our banking systems and financial systems. And we've really strengthened that part of our process and protocol really strongly. We also, I think as we're growing into a space and really learning about different players in the market and making sure we've got really strong partnerships with the right industrial partners in a sense. And so we've got this wonderful service with Fireblocks, which provides all the security to our tokens, and actually there's you can see on our website there's 6 or 7 of those different partnerships that are absolutely invaluable to the strength of this project and as moving forward. So that's just been really, really critical. And I think, where does that stand us for the stead? I think we've also thought at times maybe we're falling behind the curve of where things are at in the market. And one of the things that we are actually really confident about is that we are still way ahead. And so I think for us, where we are going and what's ahead for us now, the future looks really bright. And I think we've got a very strong footing, and are uniquely positioned at a point in this current cycle of the crypto world where I think we're gonna be surprised ourselves. And I'm really excited to see what that looks like as we move forward over this next several years. Well, we hit a full hour, and I've lost Micah, so I think
Well, I would say follow our social, ask more questions there. We have our ambassadors and our team to stand ready to answer any questions you may have.
Yeah.
There are some questions about SAFT agreement. Can people still purchase token pre-launch price? I think our deadline is coming soon, is end of this month, right? It's the absolute last date, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can still sign SAFT, simple agreement for future token agreement, but it's like we cannot keep waiting obviously for forever. Now, given the launch date, we need to cut it off March 31st, I think.
Yeah. So we want to say thank you so much for joining us today. This has been really, honestly, we are so excited to have got to this point, and so excited to announce the date that we're launching. There is much more to come, and please keep your eyes peeled over this next 30 days with the stuff that we will be continually announcing. We've held stuff back so that we can keep everyone engaged for what's coming over here in the next 4 weeks. And then join us on April 15th when you see the exchanges turn the token live and people get to buy Kula tokens for the first time. It's been great having you guys, and we look forward to updating you in the next AMA of how things are going. The next AMA is going to be on April the 1st. So there'll be a bunch of great updates then, 2 weeks out before we actually go live. So we look forward to seeing you then.
Awesome. Well, you're back.
Michael's back
Yeah.
just as we said.
What's going on there?
Hi, that was the worst. My computer literally went blue screen on me.
Oh,
Restart. So my apologies, everybody. My apologies.
well, you got lucky. We just concluded, so.
Oh, perfect. Job done. I'm good.
Yeah, perfect. All right, everybody. Thank you. See you
you.
next time.
Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.